guys, we are getting ready to delve into something that I really don't like doing. I have got to take apart a knife with IKBS. We're going to do it inside because there's less chance that these little shits running away from me if I have a spot that I can do it. But I am going to use my little glass plate. I wanted to have, I wanted to be in here where it's less chance of them just disappearing. I have a nice counter. I can put up a little stopper, a little dam. But we are going to do it because I am going to refinish this knife for Dwayne. So, there we go. I'm going to show you guys what's inside of an IKBS. So let's, without too much further ado, let's get started on this. Here we go. Okay, there's some preparation that's required if you're doing an IKBS knife. First of all, you want to have a stable flat surface, which is why I brought my glass plate in. Something that has a lip. That my glass plate, I've got a rim all the way around it. You can put water on it and it won't run off. Just in case one of them little buggers decides to run off. It's not going to stray too far. I'm going to put something soft down. You guys probably see me on a live feed, Instagram live feed. Do it at the shop on a hard table. Not the best environment to do it. Container to put them in. Now I have used Ziploc baggies. I think this is the best. Now the thing is, you're going to split whatever's in here in half. One goes on one side, one goes on the other. And then you have your knife with IKBS. Now, I have not taken this apart yet, so I'm not sure if these are steel or ceramic. Some people are like, oh, well, steel, that'd be easier. You could use a magnet. Not really, because it doesn't take much to magnetize parts in a knife, like the pivot and things like that. And then as you try to put the pivot through, after you get those IKBS set in their little track, and you try to put the pivot pin through, if it's been magnetized at all, or the balls have been magnetized, they will adhere to that. And the other thing you want to have is either fluorinated grease or like I have that TW25 Bravo, which is it's almost like a lithium grease. It's just not solvent based. It works really well. That's what I use in my Spenza. So those are some things you need. I'm going to get all my stuff laid out here just shortly and then get started. I'm putting it off. I don't want to do it. So as you can see, guys, we are using the ubiquitous requirement of all knife enthusiasts, the holiest of holies, the Chris Reeves microfiber towel. That's going to be our underlaying for this knife. I have my tools set out. We are going to break into this thing momentarily, but I just realized that I forgot something, and it's starting to rain, and I need to go close some windows around the house. So we will be doing this momentarily, because it's going to be a long day for me. I've still got shipping that didn't get done yesterday, because I just ran out of time before the post office closed. So, we'll get into this shortly. Right, guys, I have returned. I am going to give you a little tip. If you have got it to do it with, use more than one driver. One driver for each step of the operation. As you can see here, this uses different size torques. So, the larger torques for the pivot, everything else is smaller. If you can afford to do it, if you have the tools to do it with, it is always best to just have two. That way you're not having to flip between the two and things like that. I have a whole set of Torx bits. There's an entire set of Torx bits in the handle of this. Comes in handy to have more than one. That Husky has been a nice little tool. So, first step in this operation, make sure that we have the cup ready just in case this thing explodes. We're going to set our cup there. I'm going to remove the... Well, no, actually, I'm going to remove the pivot. We're going to see if we can get the pivot out last. Take off the pocket clip. There's a lot of steel in this. Steel pocket clip. So that's one of the first things to know. If you're refinishing a knife, it's always nice to know that what you have as far as hardware. Are these steel? Can you refinish them? Can you anodize them? And I'm going to get another cup just for the hardware. Just to make sure that nothing gets misplaced. And we're going to leave the stuff that nothing's going to get done to. Pocket clip probably will get done because I'm not going to anodize. This is going to be strictly ceramic coated. Pretty sure that's not going to work, but we can go ahead and get that pivot out. Now, I'm pretty sure underneath this scale cover here, we're going to find that there are more fasteners. I may have been wrong. I just would have assumed that the knives I've seen that have overlays like this, usually there's more fasteners up under here. And there might be once we get this scale off. So we're going to try and leave it as much intact as possible. And you always want to keep an eye on what screws went from where. These short screws, and if you look, there's different size screws. Screws. Yep, I said it. Longer screws were your two long ones for your pocket clip. Two short ones for your overlay. Now, this has got to come apart to be able to get that other overlay out. So there's the other side of your pivot. So now we have our two parts that are going to be truly the parts that we're going to work on. And just like I thought, deep inside here are three more fasteners that are holding this knife together. This is where it starts to get a little sketchy. I need a smaller Torx. I need smaller Turks. This is a T5. These are tiny. It's really easy to break your... These are little heads on a longer screw. These are going all the way through the backspacer. It's easy to roll over the points on your Torx. Torx get broke a lot. I went through several sets. So, whew, there we go. As we can see, they're already starting to try and do their little deal where they just go everywhere. So you can see there's a couple that are already in that. See? They just kind of want to do their own thing, and these are steel, and that is magnetic. I am going to have a pain in the ass with that. So we're going to set these parts right here, not allow them to tip over, and we'll be right back. I promise I'll be right back. I have got to get something to gently tweeze those out of there and put them in the cup. Guys, everybody always wondered what the purpose of having these in your Swiss Army knife was. I'm going to tell you, these come in handy, and luckily this was just on the counter. This little pair of tweezers doesn't have too much tension. There's not much chance of you just slinging squeezing too hard and slinging a bearing around. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to pick this up. There's a couple stuck to that right there. We're going to keep an eye on them, make sure they don't go anywhere. We're going to use this because it's plastic. It's non-magnetic. We are going to try and scoop these out of that track and just drop them down in there, just like that. Now they are tiny, and you have got to make sure that you're keeping an eye on where they're going, because you're going to want all of these later. I really wish I still had a container of ceramic balls for IKBS. And I honestly do not know where they went. I think they may have gotten thrown out by accident. I do not know. They were in a container full of stuff that I'm pretty sure got accidentally thrown away. It was not my wife. It was me. A lot of guys at this point would have blamed their wife for things that had happened. I'm not going to. I know I'm a dummy. As you can see, they don't all want to come out. Now we're going to... Jeez, these things are tiny. This is where having a steady hand is going to come in handy. Don't drink a bunch of coffee and think you're going to do this. Now, this is where we're going to scrape these ones off and down in there. This is what IKBS looks like, folks. Now, I actually have done IKBS and used oil as opposed to the grease that they use in this. Grease is better. Grease be more better, because it's going to hold it in place. It's going to make your life a little easier. I don't usually like using grease on knives, but with the IKBS, it kind of makes your life a little easier. But the grease I'm going to use on this is not a bad grease. I'm not going to use anything heavy. I'm not going to use a lithium grease. I'm going to use that solvent-free weapons grease. I hope my hat is not blocking you guys' view. So there we go. Now we have all of the little balls. Guys, I got a phone call. So what I was saying is you can see all of these little bearings that are down in here. This is all going to be necessity that you keep these. I had done a video where I said that, you know, some of the balls had come up missing in the IKBS that I was working on for a customer. I replaced all the bearings in that knife, by the way, so that there was no questions about it, with ceramic IKBS balls, because they're more better. They're better. So there is your IKBS bearings. Now, we're going to seal this container. We're going to tape it shut. We're going to put it in a safe location, like Witsec. We are going to sequester it away from anything that could happen. The good old handy-dandy Scotch tape. Scotch tape. I wonder, how come they don't have like Irish tape and Welsh tape and things like that? But, so there are your IKBS balls. So now you've seen what's on the inside of an IKBS system. A bunch of tiny, tiny little bearings. Now, the next step is we got to figure out, what are we actually going to do on this knife? What all are we going to do? Because I know what I had in mind, and I have an idea of what I'm going to do. But the thing that you have to do is, before you ever start, you want to make sure you didn't miss any of those little balls. And you make sure there's none of them laying around. None of them sat in little grooves. None of that. And then you put your parts that you are going to, let's grab one of these neodymium. See? Steel. This part's going to have to be ceramic. These parts, titanium. Do whatever I want with these. I have an idea, but we're not sure. I got to converse with Dwayne, the owner. So all of your hardware is in this cup. Let's see, what's the backspacer? Backspacer's titanium. I could do something cool with that. I think it's titanium. Pretty sure. Feels like titanium. About the same weight. No. It could be aluminum. And a steel pocket clip. So these screws and everything are going to stay right here with these bearings. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to sequester them. We're going to tell our family not to fucking touch them. Not to be effed with. Not toys. Not chewing gum. It's not food. It's not a container left over from something else. It is to be left alone until the duration of the modification is complete. So there are your parts. And like I said, the steel ones have a tendency, if they get magnetized, that they want to stick to stuff. You saw that with the tweezers. I believe you guys probably saw that in the one video that I did with the Carter Prime. Those were steel balls. I do believe that the IKBS ceramic is marked as such, but I really don't understand the purpose. I don't understand why IKBS is even a thing. Why you would make something more difficult than it needs to be. And now, that's the easy part. The hard part's going to be the next video when I reassemble this thing. So, guys, thanks for sticking around with me. I know that the videos where I turn the camera around and I don't face it are less than stellar. I apologize. But it's where we're at. So, I'm going to get all this stuff put away in a fashion that no one can mess with it. And I am going to finish up a couple things, get shipping stuff ready, and then I am going to pack all this stuff up, and I am going to ceramic coat the blade, the liners, and then do something with those titanium overlays, pocket clip and everything. I want it to be something special. I like Dwayne, and I told him I was going to do something cool with it. So That's it, guys. That is taking apart a knife with IKBS.